Hey everyone, Shane here. We rely on our computers for just about everything these days, but let's be real, they don't always cooperate. It's like they know when you have a deadline or are about to dominate in a game. But don't worry, in this video, we're going to tackle some of the most common computer problems head on, and I'm going to give you the tools to fix them yourself. We'll cover everything from a slow computer to the dreaded blue screen of death. Let's do this. Alright, let's talk about a problem everyone has experienced, the dreaded slow computer. You know how it goes, you're waiting for what feels like an eternity for your computer to boot up, or maybe every click you make is met with a spinning wheel of doom. It's honestly the worst. So what causes this digital sluggishness? Well, there are a few usual suspects. One common culprit is having too many programs starting up when you turn on your computer. It's like having 100 tabs open in your browser. It's going to slow things down. Another possibility is that your computer is just lacking RAM, which is like its short-term memory. If your computer doesn't have enough RAM, it can't keep up with all the tasks you're throwing at it. And if you have an older HDD, a fragmented hard drive could be the bottleneck. And of course, we can't forget about malware. Those sneaky little programs can really bog down your system. Now before you start panicking, there are some easy fixes for a slow computer. First, let's tackle those startup programs. Hit Ctrl+Shift+ESC to open up Task Manager. Then, navigate over to the Startup tab. Here you'll see a list of all the programs that launch when you start your computer. Disable any programs you don't absolutely need running in the background. If your computer is still a bit sluggish, it might be time for a RAM upgrade. Adding more RAM is like giving your computer a brain boost. It's a fairly simple upgrade that can make a world of difference. For those of you still rocking an HDD, running disk cleanup and disk defragmenter can help optimize your hard drive and squeeze out some extra performance. And finally, it's crucial to have a good antivirus program installed and to run regular scans. This will help keep your system free of those pesky malware infections that can slow things down. We've all been there. You're in the middle of something important and suddenly bam, your application freezes. The cursor turns into that dreaded spinning wheel of death, or worse, the window goes completely white. It's like your computer just decided to take a nap at the worst possible moment. So what causes these application meltdowns? Well, it could be a software bug. Sometimes developers accidentally release code that has some, let's say, quirks. Another possibility is that your system is just running low on resources. If you have a ton of programs open or you're trying to run a demanding game on a computer that's barely got the horsepower, you're going to run into trouble. And then there are those pesky software conflicts. Sometimes two programs just don't play nice together, and that can lead to all sorts of weirdness, including unresponsive applications. But don't worry, there are ways to deal with these frozen fiends. The first thing you can try is the classic force quit. On Windows, you can hit Ctrl+Alt+Del to bring up Task Manager, and then select the offending application and end its task. If you're on a Mac, Command+Option+SC is the magic shortcut. If force quitting doesn't do the trick, the next step is to check for updates. Developers are usually pretty good about releasing patches for bugs, so make sure you have the latest version of the application installed, and if all else fails, you can always try uninstalling and reinstalling the program. It's a bit of a pain, but sometimes it's the only way to exorcise those digital demons. Chapter 3. The Blue Screen of Death. Okay, let's talk about the one that strikes fear into the hearts of computer users everywhere. The Blue Screen of Death, the BSOD. It's that sudden crash, the screen turning blue, the cryptic error messages. It can make you feel like your computer just exploded. But what causes this digital nightmare? Well, one of the most common culprits is faulty hardware drivers. These are the little bits of software that allow your operating system to communicate with your hardware. If a driver is outdated, corrupted, or just plain incompatible, it can cause all sorts of havoc, including the dreaded BSOD. Another possibility is overheating. If your computer's components get too hot, they can start to malfunction, leading to system instability and, you guessed it, the BSOD. And then there are corrupted system files. These are the critical files that your operating system needs to function properly. If they get damaged, it can cause all sorts of weird and wonderful problems, including the BSOD. But don't worry, just because you see the blue screen of death doesn't mean your computer is toast. There are things you can do. First things first, make sure your drivers are up to date. You can usually find the latest drivers on the manufacturer's website. Next, let's address any potential overheating issues. Make sure your computer has adequate ventilation. Don't block any of the vents, and if you're feeling brave, you can even open up your computer and clean out any dust bunnies that might be lurking inside. Finally, you can try running some system diagnostics. Windows has a built-in tool called Windows Memory Diagnostic that can check your RAM for errors. You can also try running CHKDSK, which scans your hard drive for errors. Chapter 4. No internet? We can't have that. We live in a connected world, so losing your internet connection can feel like being stranded on a desert island. But before you start sending smoke signals, let's troubleshoot some of the most common causes of internet woes. First up, the classic router issues. Your router is the unsung hero of your home network, diligently directing traffic between your devices and the wider internet. But like any hard-working piece of tech, it can sometimes throw a tantrum. Maybe it's overheating, maybe it's just having a bad day, but whatever the reason, a rogue router can definitely put a damper on your internet fun. Then there are network settings. Look, I'll be honest, network settings can be a bit of a black magic. One minute everything's working fine, the next minute you're knee-deep in IP addresses and DNS servers, wondering how you ended up in this digital rabbit hole. Sometimes network settings can get messed up, either by a software update, a clumsy human, no judgment, or even just gremlins in the system. And of course, we can't forget about our good friends at the ISP. As much as we love them, sometimes ISPs experience outages. It's like a power outage, but for the internet. It's nobody's fault, but it's still incredibly frustrating when you just want to browse memes in peace. But don't worry, there are some things you can do to get back online. Let's start with the router. The good old turn it off and on again method actually works wonders. Unplug your router and modem, wait a few seconds, and then plug them back in. You'd be surprised how often this simple trick can resolve connectivity issues. If the power cycle doesn't work, it's time to check your network settings. Make sure your Wi-Fi is turned on, you're connected to the correct network, and your IP address and DNS settings are all in order. And if you suspect an ISP outage, well, there's not much you can do but wait it out. But hey, at least it gives you an excuse to finally finish that book you've been meaning to read. Outrow, you got this, so there you have it. We've covered some of the most common computer problems and, more importantly, how to fix them. Remember, a little troubleshooting can go a long way. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty and try to diagnose the issue yourself. And hey, even if you can't fix it yourself, at least you'll be able to impress your friends and family with your newfound tech knowledge. They'll be coming to you for all their computer repair needs. Keep your systems updated, be proactive with maintenance, and remember, a little patience goes a long way in the world of technology. Happy computing. By following these steps, you can troubleshoot and resolve some of the most common computer problems. Keep your system updated and maintain regular checkups to ensure smooth performance. Happy computing.